All right, so continuing on, extensions of the works that we've seen so far. Once the child has had some good practice with transferring all of the liquid into another container, the water back and forth, then they are in a good place to start doing some works that that apply that ability. And so one of the first ones that they really enjoy is a hand washing work. So let me show you that one, if I can find the picture. Let's see. So this is the hand washing station. And, clearly the children wash their hands at other times when they're dirty or we want to prepare to eat or something like that. But this is an activity that is done just for the joy of washing our hands, just for the pleasure and for the practice of the routine. The very youngest children enjoy this very much. And but what I notice is that even a 5-year-old will go and do this work just for fun. It's just very pleasurable to wash one's hands in a very mindful, careful way. And you can see the child will pour the water from this metal basin into the pitcher the bucket that is under the table. And then they can go and pour that out. So the child has everything they need here, and they will dry everything off when they're finished with the towel. And then we have a place with some extra towels for them so they can put a fresh one out for the next person. So this is a great extension of that practice pouring work that I showed you earlier. So then moving on, something that's a little more of a fine motor work is an extension of the eyedropper that I showed you earlier. So what we have here is a little bit of wood polish, and it could be whatever simple thing that the child could use to clean wood. There are so many wooden materials that we typically have in the Montessori environment that the child really enjoys doing a little polishing of. And so they will serve their own small amount of polish into the shell and then apply it with the first pink cloth, and then they will rub it dry with a soft white cloth, striped cloth that's on the right. And when they're done, they will wash the shell and return, put the soiled cloths into a basket, and we have a supply of fresh ones that they can use. So this is another work that just will require some sort of polish, but other than that, it's just a very nice material that would only require putting a little bit of equipment together, rather than things that we would be having to constantly replace. So moving along from that, let's see. Well, let's just say that we've just spoken about cloths being soiled, and we do have a way for them to wash cloths. I actually did not photograph, but they have a little a hanger, a place to hang the cloths after they've scrubbed them. You can see on the bottom shelf that there's a little brush with a cake of soap. And so there's a whole process that I could walk you through if you wanted to put this kind of work together for them. The older children really enjoy this. It's quite, it's a bit more involved. So it's not something that, say, a 3-year-old would do, but certainly maybe a 4.5-year-old and your 5-year-olds can really enjoy a work like this and feel that they are really completing a cycle of washing the cloths for that polishing work. And then everything is good to go for the next time. And so finally, I'm going to show you a work that is very central to Montessori rooms. I'll show you a couple more things, but primarily I wanted you to see something that we call table scrubbing. Now, table scrubbing can also be like floor scrubbing or scrubbing a wall if it needs it, or scrubbing a chair. The children can use this to clean all kinds of things. So you can see, again, if you put this kind of work together, I would go through this, the process that you would use. These have so many steps that I'm not going to give you the detail on cloth washing and on this scrubbing activity right now. But if you put this kind of material together, then I can walk you through that. But at least here you can see kind of the materials that we use, and I'm going to show you how it's set up because it's a little hard to figure it out just looking at that. So let me show you the setup. So you can see here how the child will get water in the pitcher there on the left and pour it into the big basin in the middle. And, eventually they'll be pouring the dirty water into the bucket to be transported to the sink or wherever in the garden that you want them to pour some water that just might have a little soap in it, not too bad. But again, I will go through the whole process, but you can see how the child is laying out 7 items in addition to the floor towel. So there are 8 items here that the child is keeping organized in addition to the water that they'll be using. So, it gives them quite a lovely experience with keeping themselves organized and sequencing things, in terms of getting the table wet and getting the brush wet and with soap applied and scrubbing the table and then wiping all the soap off and then drying the table and then taking care of the soiled water. All of those steps really give the child a lot of great experience with being responsible and independent. And the older children certainly have a sense of, wow, I've had older children say, let's scrub every table in the classroom. And so, just kind of methodically going around from table to table and getting all of that accomplished. So just have a couple more things real quickly. This is obviously a basic cleanup set that we have. So you can see there's a wet mop, and definitely with that hand washing work and the table scrubbing work, that there can be a little spill of water. And so sometimes even more than just a small spill, but they will use their mop for that. And the children also like to work together and mop the floor. So we'll just put a very small amount of water in the bottom of the bucket, and um, then one will hold it while the other one squeezes it, and they have a great time mopping the floor. Then we have a dust mop. Just really a regular broom is a little tricky for children to learn how to do. I mean, a push broom can kind of work, although in the classroom they tend to just kind of, push it all over the room. The dust mop, a little bit, they will do that too, but much less so than for like a push broom. So the dust mop has worked really nicely. And then we have a little carpet sweeper that they can use for the little rugs that they use. But what they mainly like to sweep the floor with are these dust pans and brushes. You see, we have two of them, and they will often, two children get them and go around the room, and they really just look for every little speck on the floor and take care of it. And then, to the right there, we have a little blue bucket with a little blue sponge for just general cleanup of various things. So one final thing I was just going to throw in here. So this is a bead stringing activity. And if you cannot put things together for any kind of sewing, at least a kind of bead stringing can be a really wonderful thing for them to have, to work those fine motor skills that they need for the little string and to do some bead stringing. But hopefully, depending on what materials you might have, I can help you to figure out how you could have maybe some type of sewing activity, because the children really enjoy, they make that little bags and pillows and things that can actually be useful. And so we might be able to figure out some things that you could do with the materials you have for that. So that's what I have for right now. And hopefully that gives you a little something to think about and work with. So until next time, take care and many blessings.